So I just shut down my second business in the last 3 years, and I've learned a ton about it. And in this video, I want to tell you all the harsh truths that I've learned over this past 3 years so you can learn something and don't make the same mistakes that I did. And I'll even get into the fact that it has completely shifted my opinion on the design industry as it exists today. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and we'll talk about it in the video. So to start things off, today I launched my app, Blockwalk, which blocks all of your distracting apps until you hit your daily step goal in an effort to help improve the amount of time that we all spend on our screens and make us move more often and be less sedentary. So that's in the App Store now. I'll drop the link in the description. But with that out of the way, I do want to touch a little bit on this whole experience for me and what this has taught me. So if you don't know, prior to this, I had built 2 different businesses. The first one was I built a email marketing tool that was kind of like a mob-in for email research. So inspiration to get emails, you get the code, all that good stuff. You can create lists or collections like you would with Pinterest, and then be able to share those with people. And then the second business, which I actually just ended up shutting down, which was Rally, and that was a tool to help designers with their QA process. And so a few things reflecting on all of this that has happened is none of this stuff matters if you do not have distribution. And I think one of the things that I really took away from the first business of the email marketing tool was I can spend all of this time designing and tweaking and improving things and paying engineers and improving the product and doing all of these things. But in reality, if nobody knows about the product, then it doesn't matter. And the times that I had the most amount of energy, I got the most amount of progress forward was always during the times that I spent time on platforms, reaching out to people, getting featured in a newsletter, getting my articles featured on Reddit, getting my articles featured on indie hacker blogs, things like that, where I got exposure to larger audiences. And then I would get an influx of users. And while I didn't always have necessarily people that would pay an upgrade, that did start to teach me more and more about the importance of exposure. And unfortunately, with that first business, I just had gotten to the point where I realized I had implemented it wrong, had spent way too much money, and ultimately it was just not worth my time and energy because of the cost of it monthly for me. And I already dumped about 20 grand into something that was just not working, and I didn't have a passion in email marketing. And so then with the second business, Rally, that I just shut down, the mistakes that I made on that was actually the fact that I spent way too long building this perfect product instead of just shipping and getting it out. And I didn't talk to people. And so by the time we finally had what we would call V1 ready to go, I lost all energy and interest, and I realized I don't really give a shit about design QA. Even throughout my design career, I did not care about that whatsoever. It was always a point I hated. And so it kind of brought me to this realization that, like, if you don't, those kind of 2 takeaways from those businesses is distribution is number 1. And if you don't care about a problem space, it's really tough to have energy go into that. And so now with this third one, it feels like my perspective has shifted a lot. If it is not mission critical to work on design-wise or product improvement-wise, then it's not going to get done. It's not going to be done. Because if people don't know about it, it doesn't matter how good the design is, how good the user experience is, what the onboarding experience is, what those things are right now, it won't matter because nobody's going to know about it. And so all my effort has to be on marketing, distribution, content creation, writing articles that are blogs, SEO, reaching out to influencers, all of the things that are involved in marketing and getting the product out. And the thing about this is I built the tool, obviously, with being able to use Cursor and some other tools and talking with people and being able to build it myself and design it and do all that has really shifted my perspective on where I actually think design is needed in this process now. I think prior to all of this, I saw a space where designers were really needed from this 0 to 1 experience. And now I'm not really convinced that designers are needed anymore in that 0 to 1 experience. And I hate to say that as a designer, but I think that it's really reduced our need for these early stage startups, at least until they get these big funding rounds, and then they need somebody to come in and redesign them. But I think the part of getting something out the door and having a designer help with that consultation and then going to market with it, I think those days are completely gone. Or if not, they are very soon. For most founders. And I think the founder with the exception would be the one that doesn't want to think at all about the experience, doesn't have a really clear vision in their head, but they need help more of the experience side of things, where you come in, help them build out the flows, and then they move forward with execution, and you're not so worried about the UI in the front end. And so I think those are kind of the things that I can see designers needing now. So yeah, so I guess all that to be said, things are shifting a ton, and with this whole experience of building, this new product feels very real and close to my heart about fitness and reducing screen time and overall just being generally healthier. And so to recap all of this, my biggest takeaway for anyone watching here, if you've made it to the end, I appreciate you, but nothing really matters unless you distribute the app, unless you distribute your product, unless you talk to people and get it in the hands of people. So get the V1 up as fast as possible and fuck all the noise around. Just ship it and do everything you can to get people on there. There's so many different ways of getting users on the platform. That's where your time needs to be. Resist every single urge, like I have to do, of wasting time on design. 95% distribution, 5% product. So made it to the end of the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks a bunch for being here. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you next week.